into public view, which is where it needs to be, in public view. And so many more people have found their way into recovery because of the rehabs, because of what you do, and it's just really a powerful thing. On the show, on the TV show that you did, your success rate was pretty powerful, as I understand it, as far as getting uh, the yes, I'll go into the rehab.
Yeah, normally we have a 90-95% success rate in getting people to go to treatment that day. So it's pretty high up there. And I know, I think it was a couple years ago, they gave the statistics on how many shows they were able to do and how many people were clean and sober. And I think it was like after 5 years, 6 years, it was about 80%.
Really?
That's pretty high, yeah.
Well, that's really high. That's
Isn't it?
yeah,
Amazing?
yeah. That's amazing. That's fantastic. So the one thing that I know that the spiritual part of this recovery is really is your deal, and as with me, I think it's without it we just don't have recovery.
Yeah.
But there's such a huge stigma out there towards drugs and alcohol and addiction that it's really very negative and very powerful, and I wonder how has that affected what you do? How much does the stigma play in what you do in intervention? Would you get more people doing interventions if it didn't have that stigma so much?
Yeah, no, I think that being, I think A&E, by taking that chance and going out on the limb and televising this, showing the reality of what's really happening out there in this world,
Right.
and using that as an educational piece, show family members that there are things that they could do, and addiction isn't prejudice. It hits all walks of life, and people can take action to help fight the battle of the addiction. As you said earlier at the beginning of the conversation, we have a huge war on drugs and alcohol in this country or this world, and it's not about taking them out. It's about getting the people healthy so they don't want the drugs and alcohol.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Carl Jung. Are you familiar with the story of Carl Jung and Bill Wilson?
Yes. Yep.
Well, one of the things that they wrote, letters back and forth, and I guess Bill Wilson, who was the originator, co-originator of the 12 steps, which all of your recovery programs follow. When I say recovery, I mean all the 12-step based programs follow.
Yep.
It talks about that at the base of this drive to feel good around drugs and alcohol is really the search for God.
Yep.
Is really the quest for God. I know that's how it played out in my life. That's exactly what happened. Today I find that that joy you were talking about in working with other addicts. That's mine. That's what I was looking for all along.
The connection with other human beings. Exactly right.
And the self-esteem that goes with that.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, a good example of that is, I said my drug of choice was ecstasy, but I also did a lot. I'm sorry, crystal meth, but I also
Right.
did a lot of ecstasy. And ecstasy, for those who have ever tried it, is a drug that makes you just feel completely connected with whoever you're with, and have extreme love for them. And it's like a drug that just gets you into this feeling of contentment within your own being.
Right.
And that's why so many people love that drug, because it's so foreign for us.
Absolutely.
Alcoholics and addicts, it's so foreign. We feel different. We feel not connected. We feel like there's something wrong with us. And so when you have that feeling within you, it's like you can't get enough.
Right.
And working
Right.
By taking those steps, you're able to reach that, and that feeling stays within you versus dissipating when the drug wears off.
Absolutely. You know, that the fact that I have found that feeling, Ken, is you know, it makes me know that if there was a pill that would allow me to use drugs and drink safely, I believe that I would choose not to because I don't need to. What I was searching for, I found.
I agree 150% because I would never want to lose, because I know, I would say I was 10 years, 12 years sober, and I went through a major depression, and I realized that I wasn't meditating. Part of the 12 steps through prayer and meditation, and so I got a doctor that really focused on meditation, and it lifted that depression,
Right.
and took it to another level in my being, and where I am. If I want to get high, I meditate, and those highs bring me to a place where I dream. But now those daydreams that I used to have in my disease and in my addiction, when I'm in my meditation and I have those dreams, I don't know how it happens, but they become a reality.
They absolutely do. They absolutely do. Meditation is a big part of recovery. We do it. We have a lot of meditation meetings here locally. One of the things, Ken, is that if there is some way to make the public really aware of the spiritual component of this recovery process, and it would just change, I think, viewpoints and attitudes and add to the power of change to transform this. We should talk somewhere down the road and maybe consider a documentary that delves in that.
Yeah, I would love to be a part of that, because really that is the key. I really look at my job. I'm not an interventionist. I'm somebody that takes an individual that's in the complete darkness of almost being so close to death because they have no hope left.
Right.
And bring them to a spiritual light that gives them the freedom to have all of their dreams come to a reality. I mean, that's really all I do is I bring people to that threshold and get them to surrender, to that first step, and getting the family. And I think this is the most important, getting the family, to understand that they own the power within them and the environment around the addict. They have that power to get them. They have that saying: you could, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Right.
I believe that the family, with the help of a good interventionist, could get them pretty darn thirsty to make them drink when they show up there.
Well, in your conversation with Tom earlier tonight, he was talking about having to face 14 people, Tom, and tell us your experience with that, Tom. It's like, Tom's got his mouth full right now, so you can do it. All right.
Yeah, my experience was very similar to I'm sure a lot of people's. I walked in my house and at that moment recognized a lot of faces that were normally friendly faces, but they all had that stern look on them, and there was a guy there that I had never met before. And it was, I knew what it was the moment I walked in. Even in the condition I was in, I knew what it was. But, I had an ego that was the size of the moon and just was not willing at that moment to acknowledge what they were doing and allow it to really work its magic at that moment. It took about 72 hours for that whole session to really start to sink in.
See, the really cool part about this is this guy sitting next to me who is like, he's working now as a not only here, but he also is a trainer, physical trainer, and he's in just great condition. He's got this beautiful family, love.